Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Fast Striker. I don't want to call this an arcade-inspired scrolling shooter because it basically is an arcade scrolling shooter. This was actually on the Neo Geo. This has been ported to the Neo Geo, so it doesn't feel fair calling it an arcade-inspired scrolling shooter when it basically is on that platform just like 20 years after its heyday. But nevertheless, this is basically an arcade scrolling shooter, and it does not let up on any part of that description for what you would expect. So there are a lot of options we can do, but most of them relate to the screen. So if we hold the L button, we can actually make the screen disappear, so we can only see the settings. But if we hold the R button, we can actually see a little bit of preview of what all our options do. So I can fill the vertical scale, which honestly makes the game scaling look a little bit crappy, so I'm just going to leave it at that. You can turn on scan lines if you prefer that. And to be fair, it doesn't look anywhere near as bad on video as it does on the Vita screen, but at the same time I'm going to leave it turned off because scan lines often play havoc with uploaded videos on YouTube. They just don't come out very well after encoding. You can also change the scan line intensity. You can put on a wallpaper, but I found that the wallpapers are actually going to make the Vita capture kit have a bit of a fit, so we're going to leave it turned off. But you can also change the brightness of it, and you can change the brightness of the game itself, which I really appreciate because you can make it particularly easy or particularly hard to see the bullets, whether or not you are a regular person or a masochist. So you've got sound settings, but there's only 2 sliders there, and you've got controls, only 3 of them, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but you can rebind them, which is a nice touch. So let's just go hop straight into the game. Now, you've only got 4 credits, and there is no way to increase the amount of credits you have. That will give you about 12 lives, which, trust me, in this game doesn't really mean much. So if we hit the X button to start the game, we've got 4 different difficulties, and all of these difficulties have different sets of weaponry, and also the higher you go, the worse the bullet patterns get. We're going to play on Original, because I have played through the game on Novice. Just going to warn you now, almost didn't make it. Aw, man. The bloody signal's gone again. Hang on, I'm going to have to do something about this. I'm not restarting this recording again. I've already done it 3 times. There we go. Now we're playing in the lower pixel count mode of the Vita's capture. But it looks to be almost right, just a little bit blurred because of the low resolution. So yeah, just warn you now, if this appears a little unsharp, it's slightly better on the Vita screen. But at the same time, this is a Neo Geo scrolling shooter. This literally showed up on the Neo Geo at one point, so this kind of looks the same on both, at least as far as I can imagine. I've only ever played emulated Neo Geo, so I wouldn't know for sure, but I like to think I know that well enough. So we won't worry about the how to play screen, we'll just get straight into the game. So here's the drill. You are a ship and you shoot things. The end. Oh, well, there's more to it than that, obviously, but oh, well, we can get into that right now while I'm trying to avoid as many bullets as humanly possible. It doesn't start out too bad, but later on, good lord. So, this has a few neat mechanics. For one is the different weaponry you have. You have 2 different shot buttons, one that fires in front of you and one that fires behind you. But you can hold down these said buttons, and when you do, it will allow you to move more precisely, and it will not drag in plugins. Hiccups from around you. That's just generally the way this sort of thing works. So all of these pickups that these enemies are dropping will give you 1 extra multiplier. So right now I'm currently seeing about 199, which is nice. Bigger enemies will give you bigger amounts of, oh my god, the bullets are frightening. But yes, as you can see, the game does not fuck around, not even remotely close. It is bloody intense at the best of times. It is just, it is sending enemies at you and weird little situations to avoid, and oh good lord, there is just so many bullets. And I tried to get through there and I screwed it up, and for that I lost all my speed power-ups. Good job me. There are power-ups in this game, but if I'm being perfectly honest, either they A, don't do much for me, or B, I'm having trouble noticing when I pick them up. So there are pickups that will both speed you up and give you extra shields. I believe the 2 are one and the same. However, I don't actually have like a manual. The game doesn't include a proper digital manual, so there's no way for me to actually check this. But yes, you press the circle button and it will activate a shield. the shield will protect you from any kind of attack for a couple of seconds. It's really not much. And the bloody signal's gone out again. It's a good thing I'm paying attention to this thing. I don't know why it goes out so much. Even in the progressive mode. This doesn't make much sense to me. Alright, we're going to have to swap around to the other mode to continue on. I really don't know why it's doing this. I've already rebooted this computer once to figure out this problem, and it just doesn't seem to take. This must absolutely hate the Vita capture card stuff. Yeah, there's a boss for ya. That was actually incredibly quick, but at the same time, I managed to get through it without losing a life, except I already lost a life in the main level, so bugger me dead. Right, we have 6 stages in the game, and they are all about that short. However, none of them let up. They are all incredibly difficult, and you will not be able to get through one of these without... Why does it keep doing this? Alright, I'm going to try something. Let's turn on the... Yeah, let's turn on the scan lines, and let's put the scan line intensity way down along with keeping the scale up, because this is really starting to piss me off. Hang on. Transition mode. There. It'll come back. There it is. Let's try this. This probably isn't going to work very well, but... How the hell did I live through that? I got very lucky there. No, never mind. I absolutely screwed it up there. But yes, the game does not let up in the slightest. It is incredibly hard. You will not be able to get through even just one of these levels without getting your shit kicked in, because, good lord, the enemies, their bullets, and the patterns, and the everything about it is just incredibly difficult. The game does not let up. And frankly, that's what you want, so that is not a bad thing in the slightest. Especially in an arcade shooter like this one, where you can get through it in anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Honestly, it's probably a little bit slower than that, but honestly, it isn't a very long game at all. You will probably get through this. Like, if you are really good, if you were to get through on your first try, you'd barely be here half an hour. The thing is, there are a couple of extra trophies to do. For one, if you play the game on the regular mode, the novice mode, I should say, if you play it on the novice mode, you won't get to see Stage 6. It is one of those games. And, well, frankly, Stage 6 was the only stage I was at. Novice mode was the only mode I was even able to make it through. I did try all of the other difficulties, Maniac and Omake and this one, and I never made it to stage... I never made it to, like, even Stage 3 in a couple of cases. Because, yes, they do get ridiculous with the bullet patterns on those ones. The upside is that all the ships play differently, so they all have different sets of weapons to use, and that makes them all relatively different to fight with, which is good. Because it gives the game a bit of much-needed variety. And of course, these are more or less the bullet patterns on normal, on novice I should say. But I do believe that the ship you get on novice is easier due to its wider bullet arc. And I believe it also has a system where it can actually throw out a shield at the last possible second if you're about to get hit. But again, I don't have any kind of, like, reference for any of this. This is just stuff I've observed. The game doesn't come with a digital manual at all to tell you what's going on, so, yeah. Okay, yeah, this stage is different. The way that... Oh, no, I don't think it is, actually. I think it's just the colors of the lasers. Trust me, I know from way too much experience on this stage that you want to stay as far ahead of the lasers as possible, because you can very easily get caught behind them if you aren't careful. Just nudge my way up here, so I'm not caught in them. And here comes the big annoying bastards that are constantly going left and right. Thankfully, I am relatively good at avoiding the first waves while keeping my shots on target, so I'm actually somewhat decent at this on the normal difficulty. This is kind of insane. No, never mind. He says he just gets hit and loses everything in one shot. That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. But yeah, the game looks and runs really nicely. Except for one thing. It's crashed on me on 2 different sets of memory cards. Now, I thought my first memory card was already going down the drain, which is why I swapped to the one that I've currently got in this Vita right now, which is the memory card I previously kept on my Vita that I kept my personal games on, which is why this has a copy of Danganronpa V3 on it. However, unfortunate side effect of that is that when it crashed this Vita again, I got really concerned. Because, good lord, it should not have crashed on this memory card. This memory card should be fine. So either I've got 2 balked memory cards, which to be fair, considering how fast I've been going through them lately, is entirely likely, or I just have really bad luck on this game and it just crashes a lot. Okay. First continue. As you can see, it has reset my score and it's given me a 1 in the single digit. So that's how you know if someone's been continuing or not. As I said before, when you are out of continues, that's it. There is no way to earn any extras. You might earn extra lives if you get a high enough score, but honestly, if there has been extra lives, I have not noticed them. Apparently, this game just absolutely hates the Vita capture card that I'm using. So yeah, I don't know if that crash bug is common. It seems to appear at the end of stages. Like, I got one at the very end of the game, and I also got one at the end of stage 4. That seems to be the catalyst for the game crashing. So I think it might be a game problem, but I don't also want to rule out the fact that it might be my memory cards, because my memory cards are just more likely to fail on me than literally any other technology in this house right now, which is really annoying because I need my memory cards. Look at all those damn bullets. I really should have taken the time to hit the circle button there to shield myself. I'm not very good at remembering that I've got shields, I must admit. I also believe there is a final hidden boss behind, like, the Maniac difficulty, but again, I haven't gone to the end of this difficulty to say that for sure. Just FYI. But still, it is definitely carrying on the spirit of the vertical scrolling shooter, especially like, you know, any of the ones that you would find in the arcade. It does not let up, it is very difficult, and it absolutely feels like the real thing. It absolutely feels like something I could walk into an arcade 20 years ago and have a shot of on a Neo Geo cabinet. It is good. It hits that, I don't want to call it a stereotype, but it hits that feeling dead on. The feeling of being an old school scrolling shooter from the 80s or the early 90s. And it does a really good job with its art too, so yeah. And I am so thankful for the fact that if any major enemy dies, all the bullets it fired goes with it, because god damn, that is useful. Especially if you're like me and your main strategy is to fucking banzai charge literally anything that you can find. I can't believe I'm doing this well on video. I'm usually never this good, but I seem to be... Never mind. I forgot about the lasers. You might be asking how the fuck I'm dodging all this. I don't know either. I'm just trying to focus. I'm following the golden rule of the scrolling shooter, which is if you've got a wide enough angle of fire, hold the fire button and dodge. That's all you do. If your cone of fire is wide enough, you dodge and that's it. That is how you get good at these sorts of games. Eventually, when you get good enough that you're able to actually like pay attention to where your shot placement is and whatever, then you can start worrying about high scores, but you gotta live through it first. I learned that playing Crimson Clover, which is another absolutely fantastic scrolling shooter I'll have to cover for this channel someday now that I'm not doing any sort of like, I'm not 100% focused on Vita anymore. How did I dodge all that? What the hell? Okay. Sure. Thankfully, the capture kit does not appear to be complaining anywhere near as much as it used to. Oh my god, all these bullets. Oh jeez. Just spam fire so that I have enough movement speed to try and get over here. And this is gonna be... Yeah, I remember this part. This is a fucking maze. Literally a fucking maze of just random dudes that will fire at you and will self-destruct into explosive 8-way pellets when they die. So, it's the best of both worlds. For the bad guys. I'm just going to shoot this thing because it gives me power-ups. There we go. The trophies in the game are notable for the fact that you will need to play through the entire game on 1 credit in order to actually get one of the trophies. And it does have a platinum, so you do have to do it. To which I say, good luck, you poor soul, you're gonna fucking need it. Because I'm certainly not capable of finishing this game on 1 credit, so I imagine that this may be a bit of a problem for some other people as well. Almost had it. Almost had it. Well, I get to see stage 6 at least, if I can stay out of the way of all of these fucking If I can stay out of the way of all of these fucking bullets, let's just shield for a while. There we go. And, nope, that wasn't going to be enough. I really should have hit it again, but yeah, there we go. Stage clear. It looks like I'm going to be able to show you the majority of the game. Because, yes, it is just that short. We are 17 minutes in, even with a couple of, detours to turn on, like, the scan line shit so that I can actually show you the game without having to reset the Vita's capture feed every couple of minutes. Yeah, it just seems that I will indeed be able to show you the entire game. There we go. Not something I usually like to do, but at the same time, with a game this short, can you blame me? Also, the fact that I honestly thought I would have been dead before this point. Like, I'm down to my last life, and there are no more continues. So, the next time I get hit, I am done for, right? So, it's not like I expected to get this far, in all honesty. I really didn't. Up. Right. But thankfully this does mean I can actually show you what the Maniac and Omake modes look like, because they are different weapons, and oh my god, that's a lot of bullets. Even with all these bullets on the screen, the game still runs absolutely fine, so, you know, all credit to them for that one. They are really trying, aren't they? Whoop, dodge. Must dodge. Hold buttons and dodge. Or be like me and just tap away and dodge. There are a couple of other mechanics I haven't gone over, like there are secrets. The secrets involve, I have no idea. No, really, I have no idea. They are surprisingly difficult to find. I'm not entirely sure how I even triggered them. Like when I play through a stage, I might get all the secrets, then I might get none of the secrets, and that was my last life gone. I should have hit my shield button, but I didn't because I'm a one train of thought, guys. So that is really unfortunate. You can't even speed this up, so you have to wait for it to time out. I mean, you could hit the start button and go back to the menu, but... God, I hope this comes out okay on video, because it is going to look ugly if it doesn't. Alright, game over. So if I hit the X button, I can put my name in on the leaderboard. No online leaderboards, unfortunately. Not much you can really do about that, though. Let's play Maniac. If you got the same sort of straightforward shot there, then you hold the button down and it turns into a beam. But you've also got, up in the top left there, that's your chain. So you know what your chain does? It improves your multiplier. But if you don't keep the chain for... If you don't hit an enemy in enough time, you'll lose it completely. Obviously, I can't demonstrate this because, god damn, you don't want to stop... Yeah, see, broken chain, and there goes the multiplier. Did manage to get it back. But, well, there you go. And now that my multiplier was high enough, I was able to fire off a green beam that did lots of damage. And, yes. You can see how it looks, how the bullet patterns are definitely different in Maniac mode. I'm going to warn you right now that when I eventually die, I'll just wait until I die like once or something. Because, well, you know, don't want to go showing the entire game again because they are relatively, they are relatively similar overall, the modes. I mean, you do go through the same 6 stages. There's no branching paths. There's no major differences outside of just, you know, the ships you're fighting off and all that, but you get the general idea.
Warning, enemy ahead.
Are you kidding me? I somehow managed to get through the entire stage without taking a single hit. I'm impressed. Alright, let's go and try out O-Make mode just as a demonstration before we end the video off. But I will tell you right now that I actually really do like Fast Striker. It is intense, it is furious, and it is a really good example of what a scrolling shooter that's trying to bring back the glory days of the 80s and 90s scrolling shooter should be. And I really do enjoy it. And the nice thing is that when it comes out, it's going to be at a really fair price. $6.99. Now, you might argue that the game's like low playtime, as in you can finish the game in 20 to 30 minutes if you're good enough, is actually really short. But I like to think having the overall difficulty curve, the fact that you need to finish the game in one continue, even if it's only on novice mode, you still need to beat the game on one continue in order to successfully get the platinum trophy. I do think that's enough to warrant having it at the $6.99 price, because $6.99 is rather cheap. So, you know, it's not going to have any argument from me. All the freaking bullets, dude. All of them. Every last one. And I still managed to get through like 60% of that without dying, which is great. But then you end up in a situation like that where you get the shit beat out of you from the side while you're focusing on what's ahead of you, you know? That's really unfortunate. Look at all the bullets it's shooting at me. And there's the little grey dudes, green dudes again. I always forget about them until it's too late. But yeah, overall, Fast Striker is really good. It's hard as hell. It's visually appealing, even though the visual styling of the entire game is very similar. And just the general gameplay is really nice. And it does have a fair amount of variety with your 2 different ships that you can pilot, the 4 different difficulties, and holy crap, all those bullets! And even though the base game is something like 20 to 30 minutes long, it is still really enjoyable, and for anyone looking for a sort of new, like, scrolling shooter score attack game that'll actually give you a challenge, this is definitely it. Alright, I definitely didn't make it through in one life on that one, but you can see why. So yeah, I think we can safely end the video there. Pretty good. If you want a scrolling shooter, buy it. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.